Intelligence do you have that Iran is building a nuclear weapon? Your intelligence community has said they have no evidence that they are at this point.
Well, then my intelligence community is wrong. Who in the intelligence community said that?
Your director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard.
She's wrong.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003.
Well, let's watch a video before Trump became president and hear what he said. Does it match what he is doing now? Listen carefully to what he said about the Middle East and George Bush. Watch this video.
Any way you want. And it took Jeb Bush, if you remember at the beginning of his announcement, when he announced for president, it took him 5 days. He went back. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It took him 5 days before his people told him what to say. And he ultimately said it was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake. So George Bush made a mistake. We can make mistakes, but that one was a beauty. We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East.
But so you still think he should be impeached?
I think it's my turn, isn't it?
You do whatever you want. You call it whatever you want. I want to tell you, they lied.
Okay.
They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction.
Okay, all right.
What do you think after hearing it? It's surprising, isn't it? Let's hear it again from the Congress members who make us even more confused. Let us see the video.
No, I don't think he does. And I think Congress should insist on having a vote on this prior to a decision to engage in hostilities in that manner. Whether we will or not is very much an open question. We have, over the last 10 or 20 years, really ceded our authority to declare war or to refuse to declare war under the Constitution. So whether this Congress will say a word about it remains to be seen. But I do think congressional approval is both desirable and, from a constitutional point of view, necessary.
That Iran has never been closer to obtaining a nuclear weapon.
And then if the U.S. were to take some type of military action, would the president go to Congress to seek war authority?
I'm not going to engage in hypotheticals. I gave you the statement from the president. He'll make a decision within 2 weeks.
Now, let's hear what President Trump said before he had power, and judge for yourself whether this is called a liar or not.
Globalists want to squander all of America's strength, blood, and treasure, chasing monsters and phantoms overseas. In addition, there must also be a complete commitment to dismantling the entire globalist neocon establishment that is perpetually dragging us into endless wars, pretending to fight for freedom and democracy abroad. We should have never gone into the Middle East. We should have never gone into the Middle East. Under my leadership, we will turn the page forever on those foolish, stupid days of never-ending wars. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success.
President Trump addressing his decision to strike 3 of Iran's nuclear sites to prevent the country from building a nuclear bomb. He says Iran has repeatedly threatened to destroy Israel and says the U.S. completely obliterated its key nuclear enrichment centers, including the heavily fortified Fordow, a facility located 300 feet below the surface of the ground. The bomb used is tens of thousands of pounds and requires a special jet to deploy the weapon, equipment that only the U.S. possesses. More than a week ago, Israel launched a surprise attack on Iranian sites, and the country retaliated with a series of missile and drone strikes on Israeli infrastructure.
We're rebuilding our military stronger than ever before, and we are not going to deplete it again on stupid, senseless, endless wars. World War III has never been closer than it is right now. We need to clean house of all of the warmongers and America last globalists in the deep state. I am the president who delivers peace. I was the first president in decades who didn't start a war. But the Muslim and Arab voters in Michigan and across the country want a stop to the endless wars and a return to peace in the Middle East. That's all they want. And the worst, most incompetent, most corrupt president in history is going to drag us into World War III. I'll keep you out of World War III. What would happen if we had a war? We won't. With me. but you will have World War III, I believe, without me, but we won't have. I will be sure that World War III will not happen. I'm the only one can say it won't happen. But I stand here today, and I'm the only candidate who can make this promise. I will prevent, and very easily, World War III, very easily. Iran of the Middle East must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanked President Trump and says this is the potential to usher in a new era of prosperity and peace in the Middle East.
America has been truly unsurpassed.
Officials in California and New York say they're monitoring the situation for any potential domestic impacts. Governor Gavin Newsom writes, "There's no specific or credible threat we are aware of at this time," but he urges people to stay vigilant and report suspicious activity. Members of Congress on both sides of the aisle are offering mixed reaction. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina congratulated the president and said it was the right call. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries slammed the president's decision, saying the risk of war has now dramatically increased. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez believes the president's actions are clearly grounds for impeachment. Independent Senator Bernie Sanders addressed the operation at a rally in Oklahoma.
But it is so grossly unconstitutional. All of you know that the only entity that can take this country to war is the U.S. Congress. The president does not have the right.
Kayvon Harris, a professor of sociology at UCLA, says we'll begin to see the effects of this strike tomorrow and in the days to come. It could be in the form of retaliation against 40,000 or so American troops in the region. The conflict could also impact global oil supply, meaning higher prices at the pump for Angelenos.
Of course, we can remember from prior times when both parties have attempted to attack another country or attack successfully with air power. There's usually a brief hurrah in the United States. Probably will happen again. But then reality will sink in, and we might end up being dragged into a conflict that we can't control, that many people did not want, and it doesn't seem many people voted for.
Have you heard it? What do you think? It's surprising, isn't it? Promises before he becomes president are like a passing wind that is not important to remember. Write your opinion in the comments. Thank you and see ya.